Hey friends, we all love new fabric, right? And that's exactly what I have to share with you today. I spent my birthday on a shop hop, traveling around our local area and visiting 5 different quilt stores. So when you plan an adventure like that, it helps to have some specific things in mind so that you don't just get overwhelmed by all those fumes of fabric and all the gorgeous stuff that's around and just totally spend way beyond your budget. And I did a video a while back that shares my exact plan for a shopping excursion, and I will link that in the description below. But I do want to share what I found. Now, I had 2 specific projects in mind. These are patterns that I've had for a while, but I've just never taken the time to gather all the materials. So this was my plan going on this adventure. I wanted to find the fabrics for the Violet Craft Giraffe Abstractions. And this is a paper piecing project that I will get to probably sometime later in 2026. But you can see it just has a bold background and then the different oranges and browns and, different colors there for the body of the giraffe. So instead of green, this is True Blue Quilt. So of course I will be doing a blue background for that. So that was one item on my list. And then I've also wanted to try some curves, and I've been intrigued by this Starry Night pattern. So there's lots of different elements in this pattern by So Kind of Wonderful. And I just took pictures of the fabric requirements from the pattern, and then as I stopped in the different shops, I could just see what caught my eye. So let me recap for you. One shop had a gorgeous selection of fat eighths. Now, fat eighths are, instead of going the whole length selvage to selvage, it just takes that dimension out of half of the fold of the fabric. So these turn out to be about 9 by 22, and that's exactly how the Starry Night pattern is written. You just need a variety of fat eighths to make this wonderful scrappy quilt. And yes, I could have shopped my stash, but it was fun to choose some new fabrics. And I needed some for the hair and the beard. And then this blue and this kind of sparkly yellow is going to be one of the angels in that pattern. And then oh gosh, I love this combination. It's kind of a purple with a little bit of blue speckle on it, and then a blue dotted fabric, and they coordinate beautifully. They're just perfect together. This is actually going to be for Mary. So I love that. And then just some neutral background colors. So that was really fun. I spent, a good long time going through all of the fabrics and, looking at the pattern and how many of each do I need for what little part of that quilt. So that was a fun acquisition. Another element of that pattern is the palm trees. And so I had fun with batiks there. Now this one kind of has a texture on it that I thought is going to look great as the trunk of a palm tree. And then we needed 3 different greens. So I selected some gorgeous batiks there in a couple different shades so that I could make a palm tree for my Starry Nights pattern. Now, I mentioned the giraffes, and let me make sure, yep, I've got them all here. One of the shops, a lot of fabric stores will have a section or a few shelves set aside as sale fabrics, and that's where I started. But of course I had to go out to the full priced area to get a good range. And I needed 4 blues. So these are going to be the backgrounds of that giraffe quilt. And I want to know what you think of that gradient. So I've got kind of the lighter blue, almost the turquoise, and then into some of these more royal and navy blues. So that's my selection for my giraffe background. And of course I got a little bit extra, so if there's some left over, I can just add to my blue stash for random blocks here and there. Okay, before I get to that major purchase, I'm always on the lookout for just some of those other kind of trendy items, I guess. And one item that I love working with but have always had to borrow from friends are the 3-yard patterns. So at a shop where I didn't really have a focus of my patterns, it was late in the day, we're getting close to that budget limit, I need to keep my spending down a little bit, so I can't go crazy with, finding the 9 different oranges that I need for the giraffe. But I did take a look at their 3-yard quilt, and it's very smart when quilt stores put out different 3-yard bundles right next to their selection of books, because when you see a bundle that you want, it's so easy to match it up. And the 3-yard books put pictures of all the quilt layouts on the back. So it's really easy to just kind of glance at the back. And I always make sure that I'm in love with several of the layouts. I hate to buy a book for just one pattern, but if I can, fall in love with, say, 3 out of the 9, then I figure it's worth it. So this is the Go Bold book from Fabric Cafe. And when I don't have a specific recipient in mind for my quilts, I go patriotic, because it will make a great charity quilt for Quilts of Valor. So I've got these fun batiks in red, white, and blue, and I've got the Go Bold Fabric Cafe 3-yard quilt book, and that's gonna be a really fun project here that should go together really fast. So if you'd like to see this come together, if you'd like to work with me on video one day, then just drop a comment below and let me know you're interested in the 3-yard sew along. Okay, here's the big last bundle. And this is another great marketing tip for businesses. Now, if you're selling fabric, if you're doing it online, if you have a shop, definitely do a copycat. This was called the progressive sale. So let's say you buy 1 yard of fabric from this certain area of the store, then you got 5% off. If you bought 2 yards, you got another few dollars off. 3 yards, even more. 4 yards, 5 yards, up to 20 yards of fabric. If you bought that full amount, that 20 yards of fabric, it was just $5 a yard. So that's a great deal, a great way to stock up on fabrics. And these are not, like the horrible, ugly prints, that you'd really struggle to use. These were wonderful colors and selections, maybe a couple years old, but definitely some good fabric. And since I was traveling with a group, we went in together to reach that 20-yard limit, and we all got a great deal. So what I came home with, again, right off the bat, some fun blue, these graphic prints. That'll be fun to make a quilt out of. And then I went right to these two pre-cut yard cuts. And aren't those batiks gorgeous? These are actually going to be a gift for a special quilting friend of mine. So It's going to be a surprise. The quilter doesn't know that I'm sending these, so I'll let you know when that gift makes its way to its recipient. This was a wonderful creamy yellowish fabric, and this definitely is going to go with the giraffe quilt. So just going to set that aside and make sure it finds its way into my giraffe quilt, because that color is going to look beautiful in that one. And then, you know, it always helps to have neutrals on hand. And this one comes from a line that I used when I was an Island Batik ambassador, and it's called Sticks and Stones by Jean Wells. And oh my gosh, there were several different prints in kind of this gray on white, and I love them for backgrounds with a little bit of interest. You know, I'm not really into the flat solid colors. I like texture in my fabrics, and this really fits the bill. And then I rounded that out with some other neutrals, kind of a grid print on that one, and some swirls on that one. So I definitely have bulked up my stash with that expedition. I am really excited about the sewing projects that I have coming up, and I hope you will stay tuned to see how these fabrics all come to life in a quilt. I can't wait to get started sewing, and of course I always love to hear what you are working on as well.